Gotcha. All right, and we should be live for the Steelers Depot Monday live stream here on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'll make sure I got the stream pulled up. Make sure Dave has it as well, and if everyone can hear us, hopefully you can. Dave Bryan, as always, is here with us. Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm COVID free.
Wish the Steelers could say the same.
I wish
Unfortunately,
they could.
kind of felt like this was coming. Vance Mcdonald placed on the COVID list, the first Steeler to test positive since the regular season began. A staff member tested positive last week. McDonald is in isolation, obviously coming off a Ravens game where Marlon Humphrey tested positive and ended up playing in that game. It appears Vance McDonald's in a very similar situation where he was listed with an illness last week, but played, cleared, and is now tested positive. So there is certainly a lot of angst and potential concern there, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, he was added to the injury report on Friday as ill, and then we see him. We were wondering, kind of wondering then what's going on with him, and then we see him on Saturday. Saw the pictures posted on the team website of him, at the airport. Obviously walking to the plane and traveled, and obviously dressed and played, and it makes you kind of wonder, right? But these are not instant tests. I don't guess that they're using still, and can wait as long as 24 hours. But a little bit of difference in this, rather than that makes it a little bit different from the Ravens situation that they just got over, is they
Hmm.
played at home. You know,
Right.
so they weren't all crammed in a flying sardine can.
True. Good point.
And you had obviously the Steelers coming and going. So I have a feeling it's going to be an interesting week, Alex, when it comes to players that maybe might not be able to practice most of the week because of contact tracing and all
Right.
that stuff. Who knew we'd be talking about contact tracing this year?
Yeah, that's what happened to Baltimore, where Humphrey was the only player that tested positive for the Ravens, but several guys had to be placed on the COVID list until contact tracing was conducted until they got cleared. So I think it's more likely than not that several players will join McDonald, even if they have not tested positive, but just being as the close contact, high risk, and quarantining until they get cleared. So that means they could play this weekend, any potential other players, but they're going to have to not practice, and it's going to be a tight turnaround for them, unfortunately.
Yep.
All right, let's get to some questions here. And as always, feel free to leave your questions in the chat for Dave and I to answer. You can super chat to have you guaranteed that your question will be answered from Dave and myself. And let's start off. There is a super chat here from Mutated Genome, a $2 super chat. He says, is the poor offensive starts due to poor game planning, poor play calling, or poor execution? Please don't say a little bit of everything. LOL. Dave, what would you attribute some of these first half struggles to if you could pick something specifically?
Oh man, that's a good question. I mean, that's really a hard question to answer. I mean, not getting the running game going right out of the chute, obviously, doesn't help things. I mean, Ben hasn't been sharp early in some of these games either. I think it's a combination of a lot of things here that you're dealing with here. But I mean, let's face it, Ben hasn't been real sharp. I mean, you got a couple of deep balls kind of early in these games too. Maybe they need to let him warm up a little bit for going down the field a little bit too. So, I don't really have a good answer to that. I mean, you can only kind of judge this on what you see on tape, and you don't know exactly what the play sheet calls are. Don't exactly know what the autonomy Ben has for every play, and what's going through his head. So I mean, we're obviously throwing darts based on kind of what we think, and I mean, I do think it is a combination of a lot of stuff.
Sure. The boring answer is the one that you said, that it is
Oh,
everything when you're
thanks.
struggling. Well, that was gonna be my answer for mutated genome until he said you making me pick something. But that is the obvious answer for sure. To try to drill it down a little more specifically, I would say just some of the trench play problems. If you're not winning up front as an offensive line, it's hard to really do a whole lot else as an offense. So again, this falls on everyone: players, coaches, quarterback, execution, the whole 9 yards. But I do think when you're struggling to be the more physical team up front and you're not getting a push the way they had earlier in the year, I think that kind of makes everything, it makes you more one dimensional, obviously, and that just kind of makes everything a little bit tougher to do, to stay on schedule and convert on possession downs, et cetera, et cetera. Michael Galupo says on the Minka interception, should he have taken a knee in the end zone? Was there obvious open field in front of him, or am I crazy? Yeah, he probably should have taken a knee. I mean, it's Minka. He had that 93-yard pick six last year. Granted, that was not starting in the end zone, but playmaker trying to make a play. But in hindsight, he probably should have just went down.
Yeah, well, hindsight. I mean, you always probably you get a hold of that, and your adrenaline's going. You probably think you can go 103
Right.
yards,
Right.
But the unfortunate thing is you get the blocking blindside block or what crackback or whatever
Hmm.
they ruled that being in there, and then it sets you up a shop right at. Did you know did you what did you think about that stat they threw out there? I'm not sure I knew that one. Ben has never had a 99-yard touchdown drive.
I did not know that. I know he's got a couple 97-yard touchdowns to Juju, but I
Right.
did not know he did not have a 99-yard touchdown drive. So good fact there. Travis Herco with his $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Travis. Good to hear from you. He says, good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, Travis. 80% he plays. You taking the over or under that Ben starts this week with the knees hurting from that hit? Got a great post from our Melanie Friedlander breaking down the injury. A tweet from Ian Rappaport that says that the team is optimistic Ben will play. I'm like 95% certain Ben's going to go. So provided there's no COVID-related issue that could potentially hold him out, I think Ben's going to play against the Bengals.
Yeah, I'm more worried about the COVID than I am
Right. You're gonna be doing some sleuthing with Vance Mcdonald photos and
yeah.
who's hanging out with who over there.
Yeah, I'm more worried about the COVID than the Ben knees.
Although he sent Rappaport said that Ben hurt both knees, so he's gonna
Yeah.
be limpy Ben probably. Not practicing Ben and limpy Ben this week, but that's sometimes best Ben. Brad Martin with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Did not have a comment there. Feel free to ask a question if you would like, but I appreciate it, Brad. All right, Michael Galupa also says, why was Joe Hayden back deep on a punt return? The Cowboys had gotten their offense off the field at the last second. They brought the punt team on. Steelers decided not to change, something they do practice for, and so Hayden became your emergency punt returner. And I joke that's the only way Tomlin will ever let a DB return a punt.
You think they in any way, shape, or form thought maybe a fake could be on there?
And what's the down and distance on that? Fourth and short? It was fourth and short, right? Fourth and one?
I don't remember
I think
exactly.
because they were because then that's the way they tried the hard count, and then the quarter ended, and then they brought they had the offense out there for the start of the second quarter, and then they switched.
Right.
Yeah, I think they just didn't want to, risk making a change, and I think you're worried about too many men on the field. Sometimes when those changes with special teams guys coming in and out, and could you get called? I think remember the Colts Pat McAfee, worst play ever, the fake punt
Right.
that the McAfee's explanation for that was it was partly designed to hopefully try to get the Patriots to have too many men on the field by switching. Not the Cowboys didn't do the exact same thing, but that was part of the intent of that play. And so maybe Pittsburgh didn't want to try to cycle players on and off last second. I don't know how far the sideline was away and things like that, and worry about getting called for a penalty or having some sort of procedure issue. So that was a reason for why they kept the defense out there.
Yeah, and I was in the middle of typing something, looked up and
Sacho
saw.
Hayden.
Yeah, I was like, "What the?" And obviously posted that on Twitter. And then researching it really didn't take long to kind of figure out what had happened there. But it was like 2 minutes after the fact, and the moment was already gone. Joe seemed pretty happy that he caught that punt too on
That
the
was a good
sideline. Where,
catch.
yeah, when you go back, you look at the TV tape on it. He looks pretty proud of himself.
Hmm.
Was that his first? Was that couldn't have been his first career
Ooh,
punt return, could it?
that's a good question. I don't know.
It's one of them things that make
Yeah.
it means absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things, but it's one of those things that now that we're talking about it makes you wonder.
That's what we do best. I don't know if you want to look that up
Yeah.
here. Well, Brad actually did have a question. He left it in the comment below. Any chance Dotson is just a little better at getting a push for the running game than the Castro? I know that's a stretch, but is it a difference? I mean, Dotson's been a decent run blocker, but you're not touching the Castro. I mean, you'd make a better argument for Filer. Obviously, Dotson has not played left guard much, if at all. He's not going to crack the lineup unless it's an injury. That's just the way it's going to be, Brad. I understand the concern about the trench play right now, but the Castro's staying in that spot.
DeCastro ended up, not that. First of all, let me answer the first question or the first thing. Just looked up. Hayden had 2 punt returns with the Browns in 2016. He has 4 career kickoff returns as well in 2010. Obviously with the Browns as well too. What were we just talking about? Oh, Pro Football Focus has DeCastro the highest graded offensive lineman in that game, and Alejandro Villanueva the second highest graded offensive lineman in that game.
Yeah, Villanueva second can be a little surprising, but I felt like DeCastro was okay and everyone else was not very good. So
No,
second
I
best.
mean, I told you this morning. I thought maybe Villanueva would grade out as the best, so I'm
Yeah.
not overly surprised. Look, I mean, he did have some issues with Gregory, and got outside end a couple of times
Mm-hmm.
there with Gregory. I mean, it was by far it was I think it was Villanueva's worst game of the season, but I think even still, it didn't look as bad as some of those others,
Right.
the offensive linemen on tape.
Tyrone Smith with the $5 super chat as well. Thank you guys so much for the super
Thank
chats.
you,
Really
thank you, thank you.
appreciate it. No comment yet from Tyrone. Maybe he has one in the comments below, but I will keep an eye on that. Real quick, Frederick Miller says, "Hey Alex, love the channel, man. Thank you, Frederick. Who is this joining you on the live chat? I always miss the intro, Frederick. This is my partner in crime, Dave Bryan, also from Steelers Depot. So check out the website if you haven't already, Frederick, and get a lot more Steelers content that way."
New phone, who dis?
John Pennington, Dave, and Alex. The last two games, the secondary tackling has been horrible. It's like they are afraid to tackle. What are you guys seeing? It depends who you talk about. I think Edmonds has still done a good job. Minka's gotten a lot better as a tackler than where he started this year. But Steven Nelson missed a tackle. Cam Sutton had a real bad Olay attempt on Zeke Elliott on a 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 9 draw play. So it's been hit and miss. I think it just depends who you talk about. But I think guys are tired. And again, not an excuse, but I just think overall you felt a very low energy, worn down team on both sides of the football. And when you're tired and mentally, physically drained, sometimes things like tackling and technique start to wane. Live Loyal says, here's a NAYA stat for you here early in the chat. Dave, sorry for this. I know you're not going to be happy, but can you please explain the stat ANYA and why it's critical and what a good number is to have for both offense and defense? Thanks, guys. This is Dave's wheelhouse. I think he's going to be happy to answer this one, but go ahead.
Yeah, adjusted net yards per passing attempt. It is a stat, and if you go to if you just Google that, obviously with the slash in there, it should take you to Pro Football Reference and their glossary page there. Adjusted net yards per passing attempt. It gives you the formula there. It's based around based around everything passing related. So passing TDs, passing yards, interceptions thrown, sacks, sack yards and passing attempts there. And if you do make your way over to the glossary page there, there's a couple links in there that'll take you to some articles written by Chase Stewart. It's obviously I've been dealing with that stat now probably 5-6 years now. So but it's just very good. It's a very good kind of predictive stat, if you will, to how both the offense and defense passing games are, because obviously not only does it take into account passing yards, it takes in as I mentioned, interceptions, touchdowns, sacks, and everything. So it gives a good kind of adjusted, because look, I mean, passing yards per attempt stats been around forever. So it's just an adjusted number that they've kind of devised off of that. And really, technically, if you want to drill it down more and start taking out spikes and throwaways, you could probably get, not that that'll change the stat too much, but if you look at those stats and you look at long term, especially, I mean, the game's obviously changed over the course of the last, what, 15 years easily, and so
Hmm.
it's more of a passing league now. You want to look for a team that's got a defensive number under 6, and an offensive team with a number over 6.5 or so. And if you're in both those realms, obviously if you take the two numbers of a team and you get a differential, you want the differential to be a positive number. And if you get a number up around 1.5 or better to the positive, they let you know that you're pretty good on both sides of the ball when it comes to your passing game. And in today's NFL, you have to have a passing game. You have to have a defense to be able to stop the passing game to win a championship. And it's just real good predictive kind of stat. And I've spent way too long on this already.
Do you have an updated stat for where the Steelers' difference is at? I know it's positive. I know it's in a good place, but where do we stand here? Halfway now through the season.
It went up. I think they're right around. Oh, if you would not have asked me, I would have been able to tell you because I looked at it early. But their number went down a little bit on defense and went up a little bit more. So I think they're, I don't know, 1.5 ish differential right around in there.
And
I'll look
that's
it up while we talk
and
here.
that's roughly top 5 in football. Do you know if you
Oh
had to?
yeah, yeah. Well, they were top 5 this week. That, and
Okay.
everybody gets upset at what I call my power rankings. Well, my power rankings are here's the big secret, everybody. My power rankings are the adjusted net yards per passing attempt
Oh.
differential stat. So there you
Gotcha.
go. I mean, it's not rocket surgery here.
The secret's out. Now
It
tell us
is.
what do you know what the 11 herbs and spices in KFC is? While we're out here sharing secrets.
Man, that's some good chicken though, ain't it?
It's gone downhill though.
Has it?
The KFC near me is just a dumpster fire.
They had introduced the grilled chicken there for a while,
Is it
and
good? I've never had the grilled chicken at
it was.
KFC.
It's been a while since I've had it because you can't find any of them around here that do it. I don't
Mm.
think, even out in Vegas. So, yeah, it's here. I mean, look, I grew up where. Quick story. We had a grandfather who was an old hermit that lived out in Innerarity Point, which years ago in Florida, that was out in the boonies out there. He had an old trailer out there in the middle of nowhere, and he was old hermit, long hair, rolled his own cigarettes and everything. Prince Albert in the can. When I was a little boy, once or twice, once every 2 months, we'd have to go all the way out there and take him Prince Albert in the can, and my mom would cut his beard, my grandfather's beard, and all. And he always requested that we bring a big bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken. And let me tell you, he would clean them chicken bones, Alex. The dogs wouldn't even touch the bones, even when they're done with that. So that's a quick KFC story.
You got a story for everything. I
I
respect
sure
it.
do.
Russ Obenstein. Good to hear from you, Russ. Guys, are we missing Tyson and Bush in the run game? Sure. I mean, there's no doubt about that. There's a pretty strong correlation there. And not only are you losing just two talented guys, but then your depth gets tested. Now, depth guys are starters, third stringers who weren't playing right now, backup guys that are rotating in, like Henry Mondo and Carlos Davis. So, yeah, I mean, it's an obvious thing to say. We're not going to blame everything on those guys, but you're missing Lulu, you're missing Bush, you're missing Mike Hilton, all big components of your run defense.
The offensive number 6.7, the defense number 5.0. So you got a differential of 1.7, which is strong.
Gotcha. Mike Adesso, get back to the questions here. Hi, guys. Tough news about Vance going into COVID protocol. I'm going to make Dave happy and wonder if maybe they look into signing Luke Wilson to the practice squad. Have they ever had any interest in the past? I know we've talked about this for about a year now, and I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I'm not expecting anything.
Yeah, and look, you're running short on time right now anyway, right? To get him through the test and in the door by this weekend. So
Right.
if they were to kind of look at him right now, it would be for past this coming weekend. So look, it's just a guy that I've always thought really hasn't gotten nearly enough respect that he's obviously not a premier player and not gonna really help a team a lot, but he can block, he can play on special teams and all. But do I think it's going to happen? No. It's just every time his name comes up on the wire, and if there's a tight end need like there is in Pittsburgh right now, it's just one of those guys that all around kind of still decent player, I guess. I mean, he's obviously up there in age now, but there's no way they could get him in the door right now
Mm-hmm.
with the testing and the protocols to have him ready to play this next week. So I kind of doubt that they'll obviously go that route there. I think what you could see end up happening, obviously, with McDonald not playing this week, you'll probably see Zach Gentry finally get a helmet for the first time this season. And I would suspect when the protected practice squad list comes out on Tuesday, Alex, that Kevin Radar's name will finally be on it for the first time. And then we'll wait and see if they do anything with Kevin Radar on Saturday, some sort of elevation to the active inactive there. So I would think that's their plan there, and they might bring in try to at least start getting another
Mm-hmm.
tight end tested or whatnot so they can sign him to the practice squad.
Yeah, we'll see if Raider gets elevated. I mean, they've only had two tight ends active for every game. Obviously, Gentry is not dressed this year, so maybe they don't, because usually that guy that gets elevated it dresses. Obviously, otherwise it's kind of a waste. So we'll see, but that'd be cool for Raider. He's worked hard, but a good blocker, inline kind of guy that might even have a little situational goal line type role if they dress him. But we'll see, and hope Vance gets better and gets off the COVID list as soon as possible.
Well, Radar would probably be a better blocker than Gentry, and Radar
Hmm.
probably would be a better special teams player. Why not just elevate him and just leave Gentry on the inactive list?
Yeah, I mean, I would say a lot about Gentry if that's what happens. We'll
All right.
see. Mike also says, "Do you think the Steelers knew Gilbert was going to be the starter all week? Defense would have prepared any better?" I think Jeremy Fowler tweeted the Steelers were had the hunch and or at least were sort of planning for Gilbert to be the guy. But I don't think the issues were specific to a lack of preparation about Gilbert's skill set. I don't think anything he did was unknown necessarily. The Steelers, in large part, just didn't execute properly, were put in bad matchups, etc. So I don't look at it as a Gilbert issue. I look at it as a Pittsburgh Steelers prep and execution type issue.
much base did they run in that game? You got it done yet?
I'm almost done with the charting. They were in base a lot though, even against 11 personnel, and I think the initial look is that that was not a very successful idea.
Mm.
It's not that it's brand new; they've done it before, but it just did not work against the Cowboys. I'll get the numbers for you for probably an article in the morning. Actually, is what I'm planning on. Let's see. Steeler fan 1933. Hello, Dave and Alex. Thank you for your time tonight. Here we go, Depot. Here we go. Thank you so much, Steeler fan, for hanging out with us. Double HH says, is it scheme or personnel on running plays that is the reason why we can't seem to get crucial end of game first downs the past several weeks? Things seemed fine the first 4 games. You're right. They closed out games repeatedly the first month or so with the formative offense. I would say execution. The O-line is just not getting a push up front, and that is an obvious issue.
If you run successful early, you normally have chances to run successful late.
Yeah.
And they're not running well enough early yet. And and as I said on the podcast this morning, one of the most concerning things when it comes to the running game on Sunday was that short yardage stuff. You couldn't convert any. They converted that first third and short with Connor, and early in the game, kind of give you a little warm and fuzzy feeling there, and then they couldn't convert anything short yardage after that.
Yeah, and they had the obviously third and short issues last year. No Derek Watt, who continues to miss time with that hamstring injury, but the line just is not doing its job either. Let's see here. John Pennington, Dave and Alex, why don't the Steelers get McFarland in motion on jet sweeps or screenplays or anything in space? They did a little bit more of that against Dallas. I just don't think he's as ready as some of these other guys who just seem to be, more NFL ready, a Claypool or Ray. I get the point you're making, John, but I think it's still a rookie that's made some mistakes and still has to earn the trust of the coaching staff. Mike Adesso, not to be a snitch, but I'm rewatching the game now. Neither team really had masks on when on the sideline. Wasn't this supposed to be enforced this week? I believe that was a recommendation by the NFL, not a mandate, if I'm remembering the rule correctly. But I did notice that as well, Mike. Jonathan Mason, is A.B. Williamson going to get a shot at dime linebacker at this point? I understand not moving Edmonds there, but I don't think Marcus Allen is the answer. Really missing Bush. Dave, your thoughts on Williamson's role or what it could be coming off this game?
It's going to be interesting to see what they do. I mean, only four. You had I think, four snaps yesterday, right? With Marcus Allen, didn't look necessarily. It looked like he kind of didn't know what to do against the run when and that's maybe that's why they ran in some of those situations there with him on the field. Uh, they're going to get him some snaps. I just don't know how they're going to get him some snaps. Could it be occasionally in dime? I mean, look, here's the thing: when you get Mike Hilton back, which we hope would be this week, then you can go back to having Sutton on the field, right? Sutton and Hilton on the field, right?
Yeah, in dime packages, you wouldn't need Justin Lane. He'd be the odd
Right.
man out in dime packages.
Right. So hopefully, if Mike Hilton comes back and everybody stays healthy, then your dime goes back to Hilton and Sutton being on the field. So there's no need for that.
But then the question is, who's your dime linebacker? Because
Oh, okay,
is it
yeah.
gonna be Allen? Is it gonna be because they I feel like they benched Marcus Allen. He was not out there for the last two
Right.
drives where they were in dime. It was Spillane out there. So is it gonna be Spillane? Is it Allen? Is it gonna be Davis? Avery? I
I
mean,
would. I tell you, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Williamson. Maybe not. I, it wouldn't surprise me, Alex.
nothing
You
at this
know.
point would surprise me. I think they're just trying
Uh,
to throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks and what fits, and they're not really having a lot of good answers.
now is it a huge upgrade? I mean, he done. As the tape shows, at least from this year, uh, you know, tape hasn't been great with him out in space.
With Williamson?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, coverage is not he's a zone dropper. He really can't man up though.
Right.
So we'll see. I mean, I maybe they do find a role for him. Last week did not inspire a ton of confidence in any of those guys. We'll see what his role is. Let's see here. Double HH. Maybe we'll find a new wrinkle personnel wise as a result of Vanable not playing, which leads to running success. A boy can dream. Would you always go heavy with Hawkins? Yeah, you're going to face a 4-3 Bengals team. Usually that requires you to go with a 6 offensive lineman to match up offensive tackle, 6 offensive lineman on the ends as opposed to tight ends. So I think we could see a pretty high dosage of Gerald Hawkins this weekend, double HH.
How are they running with two tight ends on the field? Have we looked at that lately?
I haven't. I'll have to get the charting from Tom, and they're just not running well, period. I mean, the last few weeks they're averaging 3.2, 3.3 yards per carry, so just running in general seems to be poor.
I'll have to look at when the charting comes back and see what the last couple games, how much they've tried to run. with McDonald and Ebron on the field. I told you that was one of my main concerns coming into this season.
Hmm.
Were those two in running out of two tight end personnel? How much would Watt make a difference if they can get him back on the field? But I mean
Right.
they've had some successful some run games overall up until the Baltimore game without Watt, right? And using that motion and all like that. So those guys got to win some of those battles up front.
Couple questions you might like here, Dave. I say that mostly sarcastically. Hey guys, this is from Vernon Barzy. Our OC and DC seem to be the biggest problems with this team. Do you believe this team is a real contender for a Super Bowl, or is this team plagued by stupid play calling? I think that there are rightful criticisms of Fietner and Butler. I think there's a rightful criticism of the entire coaching staff for what happened Sunday. I don't think though that they're going to hold this back team to that extent the way you're framing it, Verdon. And Owen Bush says, here's how you fix this team: cut Samuels, fire the coordinators, promote Matt Canada, and hire a better DC. That is a Steelers fan chat if I've ever seen one, Owen, my friend. Not touching that one, Dave.
I want to. I'm trying to be nice
All right, all right. We'll,
today.
we'll we'll move on here. Let's. I mean, Fietner has done some good things this year. Butler has definitely cleaned up a lot of the issues. Again, Sunday was ugly, but let's see if these things persist or how they solve these problems. Dick Longwood, I trust that's your birth certificate name. What's wrong with the O line in the run game? Just not getting a push, just not winning up front, not physical enough. I think there's some fatigue there for sure, but Dallas seemed to have a good game plan up front to really make the running the ball tough sledding, and they did their job. And the Steelers O line just did not get a good push up front. No one did. See Bizzle Nizzle. What would the schedule look like if the Steelers were not able to play due to COVID? I have no idea. Now that bye weeks are gone, I don't know how they would try to adjust that. The league obviously would try to push the game back to a Monday, Tuesday potentially. Let's hope it does not come to that point because I don't think anyone has a good answer for that.
Yeah, I think at worst case scenario this week would wind up being a Monday or Tuesday game. But we're not there yet. I just the next 24 hours. I got Twitter pulled up on the big screen right now. Just tweet deck
Waiting.
running here. Just waiting for. I mean, it's gonna be. I have a feeling it's gonna be an interesting 24 hours when it comes to the Steelers.
The good news is that this is happening with a lot of teams. Baltimore it happened to, Detroit, excuse me, with Matt Stafford. So it feels like a lot of these teams they got to deal with it during the week, but by Sunday they're generally good. We haven't seen the outbreaks we saw in Tennessee, even when these tests have come up, and so it's going to disrupt the week for sure. But I am optimistic it's not going to alter Sunday's game against the Bengals. That's my hope, at least. I am Legend 74. Why exactly were the special teams awful overall? I mean, throw a dart. I mean, Boz, two missed extra points, one of them blocked. The punt return, 73 yards. The kick return off the pooch, which was just embarrassingly pathetic. I mean, it was most everything was pretty poor besides Jordan Berry there. I am Legend. Jason Bodine. Dave, sorry I wasn't clear in my email, but I agree with you that there's no trap game in the NFL. I was saying what you said regarding being physically, emotionally drained and to a degree going, whew. Yeah, I think that was it. I think it felt like a team that was very much playing their third game on the road and playing two tough, physical, long games against Tennessee and Baltimore.
There's some great articles if people want to take time to search them out. I mean, maybe it's something I'll touch during the off season. I think I've written about it some. I can't remember if I wrote about it in the past or not. But I find it hogwash. I mean, these are professionals. College when you have such a a big gap in between talent levels with some of these schools. I can buy more of that, especially if a team's got a big rival coming up the week after playing you know our sisters of the mercy,
Hmm.
kind of game like that. But the NFL, man, these guys are paid to play. These are professional. This is the cream of the crop. Do teams sometimes you know uh, get the mantra maybe of maybe playing down sometimes against teams. Yeah. I mean, look, you can statistically look at different organizations and look at Mike Tomlin over the years and some of these games, but the whole trap idea. I think is just garbage. I mean, look, this is a team that's three consecutive road games, two games, back-to-back games coming off of hard-fought games. Game of the week, as Mike Tomlin likes to say, against Titans and the Ravens, and then you you going on the road and have to play another team. Yeah, I think a little bit of fatigue probably played in there as well. Look, at least they won. So, but at the whole trap game thing, I'd never have bought any of that for a while in
Yeah,
the NFL and all.
right. I think fatigue and just tiredness is more of a factor, more reasonable explanation than any sort of trap game or overlooking for the reasons that you pointed out. Just a reminder, Dave and I are here for another half hour. Be sure to answer or ask questions in the chat below. Super chat will guarantee your question will be asked and answered, and we'll get it immediately as opposed to waiting. All right, back to the questions here. Where did I lose my spot here? ODG Dorkman, how do you not kick the field goal? And I think you got the results from Ben Baldwin about the percentages on that, and they slightly favored going for it, but the percentages were pretty much the same.
Yeah, the bot evidently didn't even kind of tweet it out because it was such 99 over 99% for each one there. Uh, I mean, six of one, half a dozen the other, right? I mean, if I think the more I think about it, what's more likely to go wrong? Where is there more chance of something going wrong versus a let's say a 4th and 1 run versus a field goal attempt? I mean, you could probably get them about equal there because I mean you obviously could fumble away the football, but if you did that, as long as it's not returned, as long as in either situation it's not returned for a touchdown, you know, uh, yeah,
You're asking the question, what's the higher chance for disaster? The field goal is the
right,
higher chance
right.
for it blowing up in your face, given the pressure the Cowboys were getting.
All right, well, even throwing out throwing out what had just happened to you, the previous stuff in the game, which I know is impossible to do, but which is the highest risk if you just came out of the locker room to do it?
Just not considering what happened during the game, just a blank
Right,
slate. Maybe going for it, I guess. But I think the whole reason why they went for it was because of what happened during the game.
right. I mean, I understand, I understand why he did it. Why he didn't go for the field goal? Why he went for it? Because of the score on the scoreboard and everything associated with that. But uh, I would have kicked the field goal, plain and simple. I think.
Yeah, I would have kicked it as well personally, but I'm not going to kill Tomlin for the idea of going for it. I'm not.
The analytics say go for it by
Yeah.
by point whatever point oh four or whatever, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I hear you. I'm not killing Tomlin for the idea. I get why he did it, and it's not the reason why that game was close or why they almost lost it or et cetera, et cetera.
Because once
Uh,
again, if you kick it and you make it, you're up 8, right? So it's still a one possession game.
right. You're still asking your defense to get a stop.
Right. And if you go for it and you run it and you get it, game's over. Period.
Correct. Exactly. So I understand why he did it. Andresa, is Jalen Samuels really that much better than Trey Edmonds? Jalen is supposed to run routes, but he does those poorly, and Edmonds is a much bigger back that can act as a stand-in fullback and pass protect. Listen, I am no Jalen Samuels defender over here, but Edmonds really is not a whole lot better. They're not the exact same back. They have different skill sets, different strengths and weaknesses, but neither guy is someone who I'm hoping to really count on in any meaningful way in any phase of the game, to be honest with you.
Yeah, here's to not having to watch touches for either one of them the rest of the way.
Yeah.
How about that?
Even on special
Edmund,
teams, they're not good that good on special teams.
yeah, I mean, Edmonds really never has kind of lived up to the billing that he's had, right? I
Right, he got
mean,
put on his butt last week versus Baltimore on a kick return. Like, he's always been talked about as great special teams player. He's really not, to be honest with
right.
you.
And look, Trey Edmonds right now isn't even on the team right now. He was waived and he cleared waivers right now. So technically, Trey Edmonds is not on the roster right now.
Right, right. And we'll see if he circles back to the practice squad.
Stefan Wisniewski cleared waivers today too. By the way,
All right, so Steelers. I don't know what they're gonna bring him back. I don't know what the plan is there. Maybe
I
you're right.
don't think I'll
Maybe
be.
they're just cutting ties with him.
Yeah, I think so.
Eric McDay, every week I listen to our opponents postgame, and every team comes away positive except the Browns. I know it's first world problems being 8-0. What at point should we be worried? I don't know what other teams are saying, but I don't know how positive they are coming off of losses, and maybe they're just positive about hanging with a pretty good Pittsburgh Steelers team. So there's concern about some things. There's things you want to work on. Of course, you're never content, but you're 8-0, and those are some first world problems, as you point out, Eric.
8-0, people want to fire the coordinators.
Yep. Hey, that's Steelers way. DSCNT, any input on the penetration on field goals by Dallas? Special teams have looked good all year, but it looked like Dallas players were using leverage on the center and guards. Yeah, it's hard to drill down exactly what happened there and why they couldn't adjust to it. This has been a problem for this team before, 2018 against the Broncos and Justin Simmons. It's got to get cleaned up, though. It's obviously something that needs work. David O, do you identify what went wrong on the 64-yard kickoff return? I thought it was a good kick to hem the Cowboys deep. I agree. All of a sudden, the guy's running right down the sideline. I have not seen the all-22. I think it might have just come out, but obviously there were some pretty massive failures on that.
Yeah, I haven't. Has it dropped yet? I haven't seen it.
I thought
Did it
I
just
saw
drop?
someone tweet out a clip of all 22, but I have not checked myself, so I do
Yeah,
not know if
I
it's out
haven't
yet.
checked yet.
But it was a great kick,
We'll be busy
as you
doing
said.
that here in a little bit
Yeah.
as soon as we get off of this.
Tyrone Smith. Is this from your super chat, Tyrone? It's a little harder when these things come in without the super chat. I know there's a character limit. Anyway, let me answer your question here. Ben was not known for walking up to the line, reading the D, then executing like Manning or Brady. Now he is with a deep receiver corps. Why can't it be a feature component of the offense? I mean, it really has been. I mean, obviously in the second half, that's what they've gone to. If you're making the reference of why can't this be integrated into like part of the offense, I think Juju made a similar statement, and I think it's something that should not be used just when you're down and when you're going to play catch up. It should really become part of your offense and your game plan. So that's something you can reliably lean on every single week. This is not the run and shoot Houston Oilers type teams with Moore and Moon, but I think it's something that obviously is highly effective. It's been the best part of your offense the last 2 weeks, and hopefully something that gets incorporated as part of your game plan.
Can you name the two top wide receivers for the old Houston
Hmm.
Oilers in a run and shoot?
I don't think I can. I can give you Lorenzo White at running back, I think. I don't know if that was the era of Warren Moon or not, but if you hit me with his history and trivia over here,
Haywood Jeffries was one of them, right?
you're asking.
Okay.
I got no answer for you,
I
but
know
I
Haywood
believe you.
Jeffries was one of them. I think was it Givens was the other one?
I
Yeah,
take your at your word.
Ernest Givens. Yeah, Ernest Givens and Haywood Jeffries were the
All
two
right,
primary, and yeah, Lorenzo White was there
all
too.
right.
Warren Moon, obviously.
Yeah, so I got the running back. I'm proud of myself for knowing the running back of the Warren Moon era. 114 people here in the chat. Thank you guys
Whew.
so much. Be sure to ask questions for Dave and myself. Captain Spartan, is Chris Wormley and Tyson Alualu that important to our run defense? Where without them, our run defense is that much of a shell of what it was the first 6 games of the season. I mean, they're Alualu, especially Alualu. I'll get it right one of these days. Is definitely a big component with how well he was playing. It's not the only reason. You can't just say, well, the run defense is going to suck while he's out, but it's been multiple layers of issues, and the loss of those guys and the stress on young guys like Mondo and Bugs and Carlos Davis Sunday is certainly having an effect on this team.
Let's not forget too. You lost your lost one of your linebackers right up the middle too. So
Hmm.
you're right up the middle. You've taken hits with injuries. Don't look. It's not the only reason with Tyson, but it sure he sure was playing well up front there. So when you lose both your guys right up the middle there, Spillane's played well, but he's obviously made a couple mistakes on some fills as well too. So and then you're missing your best the single best run stopping nickel corner in the NFL. You're missing right now
Right.
as well too. So you add all those three things together there, and then you play in some three linebacker stuff that or five linebacker stuff that you're not used to playing before. You're doing things a little bit different. It's probably not shocking that they've given up some big runs.
Mike Odessa, what are you more impressed by, Jordan Berry's punting the last 2 games or Boz hitting that 59-yarder with plenty of room to spare? Both very impressive, but Boz, when you set a franchise record, you got to give the nod to the Boz, I think.
Yeah, 59. That didn't just make it either.
Right.
It was on into there too. So good for him.
Probably likes kicking indoors. Probably a nice thing.
I
Good
didn't think
change
he'd
up.
make it. Did you think he'd make it?
I was just the whole situation was weird. The 54-yarder that misses, the false start, the conference, and I was like, we'll see what happens. I didn't really have an opinion on it, but glad he made it. Let's see. Trying to find some other questions. Do you think Whiz or Trey comes back to the practice squad? Edmonds, maybe. Whiz, maybe. I mean, I don't have a great feeling. I think Edmonds probably circles his way back, though.
I don't know where the optimism. I mean, we'll see. I mean, obviously, it's possible. I don't know where the optimism is about Wisniewski coming back to the practice squad. I don't get that, but it's possible. I'll be surprised if it happens.
By the way, random thought: Big Dan got elevated to the Bears roster. He played in Sunday's game, so
Oh
kudos
wow.
to Big Dan McCullers. Now that was an elevation; it wasn't a signing. At first, I thought, "Ooh, could they be signing him to avoid a potential Steelers poach?" But he was elevated, and he's back on the practice squad now. So, just a heads up there. Mark Leslie, he's in Scotland. Thank you, Mark, for being here. Now we are halfway through the season. What is your winners and losers for the season so far? Anything that surprised you, and what is your updated record prediction? Mark, I'm not a fan of the record prediction stuff even halfway through the year. I don't think a
Just
whole.
so much can happen, especially in COVID environment and
Mm-hmm.
all. But they're obviously off to a good start. It'd be surprised if they don't win 13 games at least. You
Right.
know.
The winners, I mean, a big chunk of this defensive line, Alu, what he's been able to do, find the fountain of youth. Tua continues to play out of his mind. Hayward is just a full grown man. I know the run defense has not been great the last 2 weeks, but some individual efforts have been fantastic. And so I think the whole D line has just been one of the pleasant surprises. Not that Hayward or Tua are surprises, but Alu and then Tua staying healthy and continue his dominant self has been really fun to watch.
Here's the thing, though. Ha- there has still not been a single game yet where they have played up to where I thought that this defense might be able to play this season.
Not even the Browns game.
I mean, it was good, but it's still not. That was close. Yeah. Okay. I take that back. The Browns game, yeah. But nothing outside of that.
Where are they missing? Where are they not? Is it
They
just little
just a
small
passing
things?
game. The third and longs. The things that we've talked about. The double explosives.
Mhm.
The third and longs. Obviously the running game against both Baltimore and Dallas. It's okay to turn your head on the 70 something run against the Eagles and say, okay, that's going to happen. But then you turn around and here we are back to back games and the Ravens ran all over the place, and then now Dallas 144 rushing yards. Just they're not playing at the level I thought they would play at, but I think it's still possible that they get there. But just all around, not where I thought they would be right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some popcorn things, as Tomlin likes to say, and the word I've adopted that have been frustrating for sure. Face when due, Tony Romo is a super chat, so $8 super chat. Thank you so much. Tony Romo predicting touchdown plays takes away from the broadcast, in my opinion. That is all. I can get that, but man, I think he's great. I mean, the ability to call stuff like that is really impressive. And if you have that gift and that insight, then I think you have to kind of flex a little bit on the broadcast.
Oh yeah, he called that toss too. The
Yeah,
Cowboys.
he did. He did. He knew zone, and Romo I think is really good in the booth, and he's seen a lot of Pittsburgh lately, a lot of Romo Nance games. Not,
I love it. I can't get enough of them.
that's when you
To
know
be
it's a big
honest,
game when Romo and Nance.
I honestly I cannot get it. I try to even go back through Game Pass on if he I try to fly through some of the game every game that he does if he doesn't do the Steelers game just to hear him. And I tell you another one, and I haven't checked out to see if he's done one recently. The series Peyton Manning does on the ESPN Insider. A couple of games ago he broke down Tom Brady's game with the Buccaneers. I'm waiting for him to do a Steelers game with Ben Roethlisberger. He hasn't done one in two seasons there, and those are very entertaining and insightful.
Yeah, Peyton is obviously great. Do we know who's calling the Bengals game? I assume it's not Romo and Nance this week.
No, it's on Fox.
Oh, is it on
So
Fox?
yeah,
Steelers Bengals on
yeah,
Fox?
yeah.
It's weird. Okay, well then it's probably Joe Buck and Aikman. They're not calling it.
I don't know. I don't think that's going to come out until tomorrow.
Okay, gotcha. Let's see, trying to find some more questions. Here's a fun off-topic one we can get to quickly. Captain Spartan04, Thanksgiving question. What's your favorite pie slash Thanksgiving dessert? I'm all about pies. I'll take anything
All over
apple,
this.
pumpkin, but I love key lime pie. I know it's not Thanksgiving specifically, but born in Florida, a little Florida in me. I'm all about key lime pie.
Right in my wheelhouse right
All
here.
right.
We always get apple and pecan. Quick another quick story here. I grew up in the South, and pecan. You don't live in the South and not eat apple pie or pecan pie. I would not touch pecans or pecan pie forever. It wasn't until probably about I don't know 6, 7, 8 years ago that I had pecan pie for the first time in my life, and now I can't get enough of it. So every Thanksgiving we get an apple pie and a pecan pie, and we do the whole I do the lazy thing at Thanksgiving, obviously, because we have to work, regardless,
Yeah, we're working
on
this year.
our
We got Thanksgiving night game.
yeah, with the site and all like that. Even, in other words, you just can't do your own turkey or anything. But we've done the honey baked ham thing for years now. I think we've got a 9-year tradition of honey baked ham. Now doing all the fixes with them, and I just it's my favorite holiday of the year. So yeah, pecan and apple.
Yeah, I'm with younger Dave. I'm not into pecan pie. I don't like the crunch in it. Is it it's pecan? It's not pecan pie.
It
Is that
depends
wrong?
on where you're from. We
All
always
right,
used to call it. I mean, I grew up in South. We call it pecan,
all right,
but
I gotcha.
people call it pecan.
Frat boy fishing, Alex. How much do you attribute the poor play in the Cowboys game to just a team being overall fatigued from 3 straight road games? And do you think this will affect them against Cincinnati and the Jaguars? Yeah, I mean, I think that certainly played a role. Again, not using it as an excuse; it's merely an explanation. And will it affect them against the Bengals? We'll see. I mean, they may get some rest from practice just because they might not be able to practice as a team and go virtual because of the COVID concern right now with a staff member and Vance Mcdonald and things like that. So we'll see, but that looked like a very tired team Sunday. Solar verse 6, good to hear from you. I was at the game yesterday. A ton of Steeler fans at the game yesterday. When Randy was calling plays, I more often than not was able to correctly predict several plays that we were going to do, and I'm just a
I
fan.
I bet he's lying. I bet
Uh,
we line him up. I bet he's lying. But
I don't know,
okay.
but all right, we'll move past that. Good thing we didn't throw Minka out with the bathwater. I missed who that came from because the super chat just came in. But yeah, I mean that's why we don't get too high and too low on players that we know are really talented. That's some I am Legend 74. Rory's asking about the 4th and 1 play call at the end of the game. I think it was I would have kicked it. Dave and I said that earlier, but I was okay with going for it because you're just trying to win the game right then and there. Chester Pinckney, new name here. Hey Dave, do you remember the '78 season when the Steelers started 7-0? I was 7 then, but I remember us losing to Houston on Monday night and winning the Super Bowl. Any memories from '78, Dave?
I don't remember. I mean, I obviously the older that I've gotten and going back and obviously rewatching a lot of those games, I have af- after afterthought, but I don't have any distinct memories other than the Super Bowl in on the 79 season. I vividly and the 78 season too. I vividly remember watching both of those Super Bowls, okay? And I remember, the post game and all like that. As far as remembering, you know, certain games during the season, like I said, I have recency bias now because I've watched them as a grown up versus then. So no, I don't have any real distinct memories of regular season games. And you got to remember too, I lived in Florida, so we didn't get every game. Now the Steelers obviously were on the TV quite a bit during the 78 and 79 seasons, but it wasn't like every game was on either for me to watch.
Yeah, obviously, I'm not the right person to ask about this stuff, but
We
good
just had
memories
3,
there.
5, and 10.
The
The
old
three.
antenna, the big boxy
Yeah,
TV.
yeah. The old rabbit ears and tinfoil and stuff.
Brad Morgan with another super chat. Thank you so much, Brad, for popping in tonight. I'm a self-admitted Yinzer growing up near Pittsburgh, and I don't know if you addressed this at any time, but is this 8-0 Steeler team the least covered and most disrespected team nationally? To an extent, I can agree with that. Obviously, not getting a ton of love. A lot of talk if this was the Chiefs or Seattle or someone. Everyone would be talking about wall to wall. Tom Brady Buccaneers that were 8-0. So I get that, but I don't really focus on that stuff a whole lot, to be honest with you,
Yeah,
Brad.
I'm not seeing it. I think fans love to get slighted.
Hmm.
They like to take everything as a slight. I'm not sensing that. Heck, they've had Ben Roethlisberger on the pre games the last several weeks. They had Watt on. They've had I think they're getting the amount of respect that and coverage that they deserve. I don't think anybody's now. Obviously, you got the calling cowards and
Hmm.
you know those dingleberries and all like that. But as far as national, pregame, I mean, they talk about them all the time on NFL Network, dedicating segments to them and all like that. So, And look, I'm on the internet all the time too. I see it, So I don't get the sense that they're being slighted or not getting the respect they deserve for being 8-0.
The D Kip Kip. Hopefully I said that phonetically. First time live chat, Dave and Alex. Excellent job. Thank you so much. Have you ever considered making Steelers Depot an app? I know we've talked about it a little bit, but it just would take some time, and obviously we're pretty busy with site stuff, especially in season.
We'll try to get around to doing something where at least people can have something to know to get alerts when something get. Is that the? See, I don't use a lot of apps other,
Same.
because I'm on the computer. I'm here. I don't need them.
Right.
I don't need those kind of apps. So I'm guessing where it would come in for regular user of the site is just getting notification of maybe when a post hits or something like that. Is that the biggest thing an app offers these days when it comes to that?
Yeah, I think partially. I don't know if some sort of newsletter could substitute in some sort of email listing, but let me ask you, chat, would you guys be open to the idea of a Steelers Depot app that would be somehow, I don't really know exactly how, but more streamlined in terms of information and maybe some easier, quicker access and alerts and things like that. So let us know in the chat if you would be open to the idea of a Depot app. Let us know below.
It
And
obviously wouldn't happen, but
sure.
between now and the end of the season. But it would be something during the off season we could probably get knocked out pretty quick.
Yeah, just take your temperature here, chat, on that. Let's see. Breton717. Apologies if this was already answered, but how many snaps, if any, do you both think Williamson will play against Cincinnati? I don't know. I think maybe a rolling dime is possible based on what happened last week, but we're just gonna have to wait and see.
Under 10, barring no injuries. It could be 0, but somewhere between 0 and 10, I would think would be the best possible answer to that.
David Riccio says success in any sport depends on injuries to key position players. So this journey of success in a legitimate Super Bowl chance depends at seasons and injury report. Fact, fair enough. I think that's baked into the cake. Everyone has to stay healthy, and if you stay healthy, you got a better chance to stay in the dance. Russ Obenstein sure as hell didn't get not kicking fullback and pooch kick way. Special teams were playing, but yet Tomlin says he didn't kick because of the special teams and blocked field goal, which was blocked extra point. Would you guys have done these plays? I'm having a little trouble following that, Russ. But yeah, Tomlin just said he went for it on that 4th and 1 because he just didn't have confidence in his field goal unit, and I don't really particularly blame him for that with the way special teams overall had gone pretty miserably so far. No question from Rick McKee, just appreciation. I couldn't watch yesterday, so I lived and almost died with your comments on Twitter. Great job. Yeah, I think that's one thing. Some Steeler fans say, oh, you're tweeting too much and stuff like that, but I think this gives an outlet to people who can't watch the game. They're working, they're busy, they're not available for some reason. Girlfriend's dragging them to something. So I think we're a good outlet for that, especially you, Dave. You do a good job, I think, capturing that for the fan that's not able to watch the game.
Thank you.
Gage Kersey, you think the Steelers will win a Super Bowl? I wish I knew. They got a chance, Gage. Tell you that. Damian Perry, what is up with Derek Watt? When is he coming back? 4th and 1, no fullback. Well, they didn't have a fullback available, so they just couldn't play with one, and those hamstring injuries are tricky, unfortunately, Damian. So I don't know what's Watt's status going to be.
I think the biggest fear is just let's just hope that he didn't get in, pregame and then do something. I don't think I haven't seen any reports on anything like that, but I kind of was thinking he was going to play the way the injury report rounded out at the end of the week, right? I mean, what?
Well, he wasn't on it, yeah.
Right. So maybe he did. Look, we'll get our answer real quick, probably at the start of the week, whether or not he practices fully or not. But I mean, I don't. We obviously don't know, so we'll have to watch what happens at the beginning of the week on the injury report. And look, we might not even get a good injury report on Wednesday if with this whole COVID thing. Who knows if they're going to have a full practice or not with that? So it might even be later in the week before we find out something. But look, they're paying him a lot of money. He's played 25 offensive snaps so far. Got to get his 10 or so snaps on the field pretty soon.
K Jackson, Pittsburgh. Hey guys, good to hear from K Jackson. Have you seen anything during the game as being the reason the Steelers are having issues running the ball? I think defenses have partly taken it away, but the line just isn't getting a push. They're not physical enough. They're not sticking to their blocks. I mean, it's hard to pinpoint the exact reason, but the line is just not winning the line of scrimmage, and that's obviously why there's an issue there.
Look, and another thing too, people get tired of me harping on it. You start being able to throw the football down the field a little bit more regular and with some success. Maybe that'll get a couple two deep safeties going on a little bit more too.
And just the lack of success on third down, inability to gain rhythm and momentum on a drive, and force defenses to sub, and have to get worn down and tired the way that Baltimore and Dallas have been able to do to Pittsburgh. I think that's a slighter issue, but also an issue there.
And here's the other thing with the whole pre-snap motion thing too. Let me tell you, they in pre-snap motion, they probably going to run.
True.
So you need to start mixing in. Look, you're not going to do it heavily with pass out of that, but if you start doing it a couple of times in a row and hit some teams with some wheel routes or something like that off of some run looks out of pre-snap motion, that'll slow them down a little bit there. And that's just one thing we haven't seen a lot of, or much of any, really, is pass plays off of pre-snap motion. So if you see a guy moving at the snap of the football, I get the whole even seeing that's not enough of a key sometimes, but at least they know to probably start moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's something you have to do with your self scouting and ability to kind of see what your tells are, and that is certainly one of them. So I think that's a good point there. Got a question from a friend in Brazil, and I apologize, I'm not going to pronounce this correctly, but Saloon Arago. I know I'm saying that incorrectly, but he says, "Good evening, guys. Congrats on your great work. Thank you so much. What's the best way to go against the mobile Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, zone or man? Thank you from Brazil." Well, thank you so much for being here with us. Probably got to play a little bit more zone coverage to worry about his legs and Burrow's threat to run. And unfortunately, that is not the Steelers' strength. Where they are a better man team than zone team, and facing a lot of mobile quarterback, it's probably going to force you to play more zone than what you would like to do in an ideal world.
The good thing is, earlier in the season, they kind of prepared for quarterbacks sort of kind of like him,
Right.
kind of move in the pocket kind of stuff. So, it's not like it'll be, new to them. And he's no Lamar Jackson, so there is
True.
that.
Chris W says Nelson is not having a good year so far. I don't think I would categorize it that way. It's not as good as last year. Last year was such an incredibly high bar, but I don't think saying he's having a bad year or not good year would be my assessment of Steven Nelson.
Right.
Only a couple minutes left, but a good question here from Mark Leslie. We'll try to speed through. Which five Steelers, past or present, and one coach will you have around for Thanksgiving dinner? Just give us a couple, two or three Steelers overall. Dave, who would you have at their Thanksgiving table eating pecan pie?
Oh boy, Joe Green would be there for sure. Bradshaw would probably be entertaining.
He's your drunk
uh,
uncle.
yeah, I'd like to have Bradshaw and Roethlisberger in the same room
Mm,
for a little bit. Dick LeBeau, I couldn't get me enough of Dick
yeah.
LeBeau to have some Dick LeBeau around for a little bit, and to really liven up the party, I'd have Todd Haley there,
Oh my goodness.
or Bruce Arians, one of the two.
Oh wow, you'd have some Thanksgivings for sure.
Right.
I like. Yeah, I'm gonna steal Mean Joe, Dick LeBeau. Um, I don't even know James
I'd
Harrison.
really
Be
like to be.
interesting.
I'd love to be locked in the room with Dick LeBeau for
Yeah.
for a couple hours.
Right. And I'd invite in terms of past Steelers. I'm assuming we can choose ones that are deceased. Big Daddy Lipscomb, one of my favorite Steelers of all time. Really
Mhm.
fun dude, character type, and it'd be fun to talk to him. And he's got some stories that he could tell for sure. Andres, so what's your guys' favorite football book? I'm reading The League right now by John Eisenberg, friend of the show. It's fantastic. So if you want to pick up and learn about Steelers, some of Steelers history, there's some chapters and parts dedicated to the Chief and the early upbringings of football. Check out The League by John Eisenberg. Dave, what about you?
Still, the pass coverage glossary by Cameron Soran.
There you go. And you can order
You
that,
can
right? You
find
ordered that.
that off Amazon, right? The pass coverage glossary.
Couple more here. Must Mr. ABS think the Steelers use this opportunity to get more reps for younger players for potential late season usage? Seeing Benny McFarland early was weird, but I feel overall we were testing our personnel. I don't think it was a testing. I think they wanted to play McFarland against the Ravens. They wanted to play Snell against the Ravens. Just didn't really happen with the game flow of it. So I think those are just younger guys, McFarland especially, that are kind of getting their footing down in what this whole NFL thing's about, and they kind of naturally work their way into the offense and onto the field. Kendall Douglas, how long do you think it will take before AB explodes on the sidelines? Welcome to Tampa. Here's a 35-point loss to you in primetime football,
Ooh,
AB.
I
Tom Brady's
did
worst of his
not see
career.
that one coming.
Yeah, that
Did not
was
see that one coming.
got a lot of people.
Gronk looks slow.
Yeah, he's not look good. The chat here seems pretty. Looks like mostly people saying yes to the app. A couple of people saying they wouldn't use it, but thank you for that. Yeah, just something we'll take into consideration. Couple more, one or two more questions here. From VT, I'm sorry I cannot pronounce your name. Punt return blocking on the outside has to get better and give Ray Ray a chance and room to do something. You agree? I get that, but I think the punt return team has been pretty good this year. You're not gonna hit a home run every single time, so I'm pretty happy with where they're at.
How many, they only had what, two yesterday, and Joe Hayden had one, right? Was it only
Fair
just two?
catch,
Two was it just two punt returns yesterday,
including
or
Hayden.
or no, just overall? How many times did Dallas punt in that game?
I think two or three sounds about right. Maybe two. Yeah, Hayden and maybe one more. No Limit Kai, I apologize if you already talked about it, but what's the status on Mike Hilton? We don't know. Hopefully hear from Mike Tomlin tomorrow at his noon presser and find out some more information then.
Yeah, he ended a week doubtful after being questionable the earlier week, right? Didn't he end up questionable the week
Did he?
before and then doubtful this past week? You didn't like to see that. But I mean, he's missed what, three? That was a third game in a row. I think he's missed. I mean, one would hope that he's close to coming back right now.
Bunch of drama in Pittsburgh with a 199 super chat. Thank you so much. Let's see, you can get to a couple more here quickly. We can speed through. Baya T also says we ran the exact same play on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 in the same exact formation with McFarland. I like that. Did you see that, Alex? I did. The 4th down play, though, was just poor execution where Vance and DeCastro tried to kick out the same guy, and it was just an execution issue, to be honest with you there. Um, Russ says, I'm hearing Banner is way ahead of schedule of his rehab. Wonder if he makes it back for the playoffs. I don't think that's going to happen on a torn ACL. Well, we'll see. I mean, who knows? Um, Todd Haley would bring the tequila at least. That's some Bizzle Nizzle. That's probably true. And Ken says, I sound like Ben Shapiro. You're not the first person or the last to tell me that. And Andres, we did go over the McDonald positive test. Any more questions here? I think that's probably about it here for the questions. Cristiano625 says, how y'all feel about Claypool? Dave, how y'all feel about Claypool?
Showing a lot of good things. Obviously, the thing still though, outside of really the play in Denver yet, down the sideline, have we really seen him get loose yet over the top? I mean, we saw him down the middle against the Eagles, but that was you put him on a linebacker, he better win that one,
He had
right?
the 136 yarder against Baltimore. No, who did he have that against? Cleveland. I can't remember which one he had, but yeah,
I would like one of the things that I've kind of talked about with him since watching him come out of Notre Dame still was, is this a guy that can consistently stack down the sideline and win deep that way? I mean, we obviously have seen him do it against Denver, but I mean, is this the kind of guy? He's not. He's not Mike Wallace or Martavis Bryant that way yet.
Mhm.
And now he is obviously a contested guy, contested catch guy. And as Alex and I talked on the podcast this morning, really like what I'm seeing with him off the line and getting separation on some of these quick slants, because you really not. I don't think he was asked to do that. Obviously you don't see a lot of good press coverage in college football, so that was kind of up in the air in that. But he's obviously proven that get some good corners that he can get off and get some instant separation there. So some good there. I just want to see him win deep and stack some corners on the outside a little bit more. That's what I'm wanting to see a little bit more of.
Sure, I'm with you, and it'll be interesting. I mean, obviously, he did not have his best game against Dallas yesterday. Some drops, some missed opportunities. Mad at himself for sliding at the end of that one, before the 4th and 1 failed play. And so, let's see how Chase Claypool deals with a little bit of adversity. Some stuff on Twitter, some little bit of guff there, probably for the first time in his pro career, and that's not fun. That's part of football, though, part of being a professional. And we'll see how he kind of bounced back from a game where he probably feels like he could have done a whole lot more.
I mean, he's going to be fine. I mean,
Yeah.
But just would like to see him maybe win a little bit more vertically.
All right, Dave, that's going to do it for today's live stream. Thank you to everyone who super chatted, who asked questions. Had a great crowd on hand here tonight. Hopefully, we're talking about a 9-0 Steelers team after the Bengals game this Sunday at 4:25. And go enjoy the Monday night barn burner between the Jets and the Patriots, Dave.
Ooh, Cam Newton versus Joe Flacco. I can't wait.
All right, guys.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
peace and love, everybody.
Yeah,
Thanks for joining us.
thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it so much, and we will talk to you soon.